Thanks, Bob. You just characterized like the first 5 years of my whole research agenda. So I guess it's not my thing.
Mine too.
Okay. We'll talk later.
You didn't get booed.
Like she said, my name is Erica Ochoa, and I'll be presenting my part of my thesis, which is a work in progress on social disorganization theory in the college campus periphery. This is basically a dry run of my proposal, which we'll be giving to my thesis committee in a couple of weeks. So there has been an increase in attention to crime on college campus that has resulted from some tragic events that have taken place within the past couple of years, such as shootings and sexual assaults. The attention has resulted in the perception of college campuses as being dangerous places. The UCR data show that violent crime and property crime on campus, college campuses has remained steady for the past 10 years, for the exception of rape, which the reporting of rape has increased since 2005. The data show that in 2014, the data included information on 76,380 crimes that occurred in approximately 650 campuses for an average of about 117 crimes per campus. Property crime accounts for about 50% of the crime that occurs on campus. Researchers estimate that more than half of the crime that occurs on campus happens less than 500 feet off campus. But due to reporting, it becomes harder to actually get the exact percentage. So based on clear statistics, they estimate it to be about 6.6% of the crime that occurs off campus. The problem is that there's a lack of research on crime levels in the neighborhoods that border the college campus. In 1997, Robinson used routine activities theory to study burglaries in student apartment complexes. It found that 49% of weekly burglaries occur between 8 to 5 p.m. when students are presently in class or at work. 77% of weekend burglaries happen from 6 to 7 p.m. when students presently go to recreational activities, which supported a link between environmental characteristics and residential burglaries. The study focused on Zone 7 of Tallahassee, Florida, which houses 2 universities and 1 community college. It has 66 apartment complexes, 51 which had more than 50% of student occupancy. The average student occupancy for the apartment complexes was about 85%. In 2015, LaRue and Anderson used social disorganization theory and routine activities theory to study the Ottawa metro area, which is the 6th most populous area in Canada. It houses 2 universities, the University of Ottawa and Carleton University. And they used data from the Ottawa Police Department from 2006. It showed a relationship between crime rates and social demographic and socioeconomic characteristics of the neighborhoods nearby. And it also showed a link between the university's areas and the rates of burglary, motor vehicle theft, and all crimes but robbery for the area surrounding the university. Social disorganization theory will predict that the neighborhoods bordering a university will experience higher crime rates because students at larger campuses tend to live on the neighborhoods surrounding the university. Therefore, it will result in a higher rate of mobility. Most college campuses are in older parts of the city, which can be either the inner city or lower socioeconomic parts of it. And then a diverse college population increases ethnic heterogeneity in the neighborhoods near campus. Routine activities theory will predict that crime will occur when there's a motivated offender, a suitable target, and a lack of guardianship. So students have predictable routines. Most students go to class between 8 to 5 on Monday to Friday. Most of them will have weekend activities. And their vacation time, they will go out of town regularly during school holidays. The traditional college student age activities include going out on the evenings or on the weekends. And there are suitable targets as they own expensive equipment or school supplies. They are more likely to be middle class and may not be street smart. So my current study, the research question for my thesis is if the neighborhoods that border university campus experience higher rates of crime. And the hypothesis is that they should experience higher crimes based on the two theories that I discussed in the prior slides. I'm using the National Neighborhood Crime Study data from 2000, which was put together by Pearson and Kribo. It contains tract data for 9,593 census tracts for a total of 91 cities. I removed 613 tracts from the data because the cities for those tracts did not have a university or a college campus. And then the data, it's sent where it goes in alphabetical order. So I had to create the independent variable using in the study, which I'll discuss in the next slide. But due to time constraints, I only got so far, I only was able to complete the independent variable for up to San Diego. So from Seattle all the way to Worcester, which is about 1,055 tracts, I did not get to complete the independent variable, so I had to delete them for the purpose of, for the conference. And then the data set includes tract level data on 7 FBI crime index offenses and tract level information for social disorganization, socioeconomic inequality, and all types of census population profile indicators. So I had to create my independent variable, and it identifies the tracts that border or are within close proximity to the university campus. The data set that I used for the conference had a total of 180 campuses, which accounted for 490 tracts. For the tract to be considered within close proximity to the campus, it had to either border, the neighborhood bordering and the campus border had to meet, or they had to be within really close proximity. And then I also included tracts that where the college was part of the tract and then the neighborhood was part of the tract. And the coding was done as a 1 and a 0, a 1 for neighborhoods that were within the campus periphery, and a 0 for the neighborhoods that were not within the campus periphery. A dependent variable is the 3-year average rate of total crime, violent crime, and property crime. And the rates are per 1,000 population, and most of them are for the years 1999 to 2001. The control variables that I used were concentrated disadvantage index, racial heterogeneity, and residential mobility. All three were provided by the data set. My analysis consists of descriptive statistics, a series of bivariate correlations, and t-tests to compare the means of the dependent variable on the independent variable, and Euler's regression of various tract level crime rates on campus periphery status and the control variables. Table 1 is the descriptive statistics, and it just shows that about 6% of the sample of the tracts are within the campus periphery. It shows the 3 means for the crimes, like I mentioned before, per 1,000. There's an average population of 3,931 people per tract. It shows that some tracts are more diverse than others. And for concentrated disadvantage and residential mobility, there is no strict interpretation due to them being C-scores. Table 2 is a dependent variable correlation, and it shows that there's a strong correlation between violent crime and property crime, which is in red, and a strong correlation between concentrated disadvantage and violent crime, which is consistent with modern social disorganization theory. It also shows that tract population has a negative correlation on both types of crime. The p-value would be down here. You kind of cut it. And then table 3 shows the independent correlations. There's nothing to be concerned, or as there's really no strong correlations. The significance of the weaker correlation is highly likely due to the sample size being too large, or being large. Table 4 is a are the t-tests for difference of means by campus border status. There's no significant difference in violent crime by the periphery status, right here. And then property crime and total crime is significantly higher on campus periphery tracts than on none. And they're in red, so I'm not really sure if you guys can see that. Table 5 is the OLS regression for total crime. Between Model 1 and 2, concentrated disadvantage did not change the effect of the independent variable on the crime rate, and it remained positive and statistically significant. Model 3, which is our full model, showed that when residential mobility is added, it washes out the effect of the campus periphery as it becomes insignificant. Table 6 is the regression for property crime. Just like in the prior model, between Model 1 and 2, when concentrated disadvantage goes into the equation, it does not change the effect of the independent variable on property crime, and it remains positive and statistically significant. In the full model, which is Model 3, when residential mobility is added, it washes out the effect of the campus periphery has on the crime rate, and it becomes insignificant. Table 7 is the regression model for violent crime, and it just shows that campus periphery has no effect on violent crime, and regardless of the model specification. So all across the 3 models, campus has no effect. In conclusion, so the final OLS model, which was Model 3, diminished the effect the campus periphery has on total crime and or property crime. Campus periphery status has no effect on violent crime. The next steps for my thesis will be to explore the relationship of residential mobility on campus periphery and campus periphery on crime rates, finish the computation of the independent variable for this city starting with Seattle all the way to Worcester, if my thesis committee finds that it's necessary. And then to explore the effects of outliers as the skewness stats were slightly higher.